Welcome back, man. A special episode of Brick Shots with Billy Antonio. We got a Coach's Corner here with Coach Tony Kimble. Tonio, you excited?
Hey, man, I am. This is a very, very near and dear episode to me because not only was he my coach, not only did he introduce me to the defensive side of the ball and let me know that hitting people off of the offensive side of the ball was okay too, but he family, Billy, family. So I got bio. So I'm gonna introduce our guest. First of all, he's a husband, a father, a son, a brother, a cousin. Like I said, definitely don't want last but not least, and gotta put this out here because I know he is a man of God. He's a technology director. Started his football career at Coffeeville High School. And then he went on to play football, defensive back at Northwest and Mars Hill College. And then he went on to become, like I said, one of the best, probably the best defensive mind that I've had the pleasure of being around. He is my coach, my cousin, and one of the original Benwood boys, Coach Tony Kimble.
Glad to have you, Coach.
What's up, man? That's very nice. A tear almost hit my eye, man. So I had to, it's football. There's no crying in football.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, we're glad to have you.
All right, Coach. Yeah, so like you said, a tear almost came to my eye. That was really sweet. That was really special. I wasn't ready for Tonio to be a sweet and sensitive guy for this. So
I know, Tony.
But let me ask the first kind of open-ended question. It's a very, very generic question. This is my first interview, so I just need you to kind of bear with me a little bit, Coach. So why coaching? What made you kind of get into it?
I think it's sometimes we say things are twofold, but I would say it was severalfold. To continue connecting with football. I remember the last game at Mars Hill at Tusculum College, and I'm like, what am I going to do after this? I'm not going to the league. I'm not pursuing any professional level football. So it was like, yeah, I'm loving this coaching thing. So I wanted to just continue being around football. And then it became that was the thing I was, was supposed to be doing, was put on earth to do, coach football. And just really fell in love with it and found out it was just a tool to connect with young men with.
Respect. So go ahead, Tony. Go ahead. Sorry.
Of course, like Billy don't know, like I know you got down on the offensive side of the ball in high school. Like I said, he came from the Coffeeville High School, and he was one of them ones, Billy, like on both sides of the ball. But I know you was a DB. Is that what drew you to be a defensive coach?
What got me there was just a string of coaches. Originally I was offense, and the weird thing about it was that my high school coach at the time, one of my high school coaches at the time told me, remember clearly, hey, you're not going to be a running back on the next level. Although I was recruited to be a running back at Northwest, and actually was recruited to be a running back at the school that's left my mind. It's in Alabama, Troy State. And I told him, no, I'm going to go play defensive back at Northwest. I know, it's crazy. So it's a series of coaches that I definitely want to shout out. Craig Jerzel, Kevin Barnett, Steve McCurry, and David Baldwin. Those people, to say the least, really influenced me as going on the defensive side of the ball. Though I understood the offense, but those four really shaped me to really want me to get on that side of the ball.
I want to know if it's like a family thing, though, because Cortez, like playing with him at that linebacker position, monster. Running back, he'd rather block. Like if that was that like I'd rather hit it. That was that like something that was taught in the house. Did he get that from you? Like, hey man, just go hit somebody because I remember this play distinctly before we get off and I get back on. But I remember we was on the 1 yard line and the ball was going to Cortez, and instead of him getting like his first offensive touchdown of the season, he was just like, I'll block. He switched and we scored. And he was just like, I just rather hit somebody. Like, was that like something he got from you? Like because I told Billy, I was like, man, it was really, really easy having my cousin be my defensive coordinator because I knew what you demanded from me was different. So I needed to like try to exceed that. And I know was it like that for Cortez? Did you instill it in him or?
I think more of we have to go to my dad. My dad, it was just him. He was, I guess for us, he didn't talk a lot, but when he talked, and that was just things that are I guess unspoken expectations. So it wasn't so much about putting ourselves there. I don't know, just how we follow our dad. I don't have no other way to say it. Like it was not like we thought about it, but it was just like I think the three of us were just like that. Yeah.
And I wanted to say maybe that's where it came from because I remember those car rides home where he would pick me and Cortez up, and if we won, it was silent. But if we lost, he would be talking, and he wouldn't talk about the offensive side of the ball. He would talk about, well, y'all missed those tackles, and that gap got exposed. And it was like, okay, well, because he had a few words, and every time I was around him, but when he talked, he did talk, and it was mostly on that side of the ball. So I was just wanting to know. Billy, go ahead.
So, Coach, I just wanted to say, Tonio's been super gassing you up, and it's been amazing seeing it. I'm just curious now because you being from the offensive side, I didn't know that until just now. So you being from the offensive side and knowing the offensive side and being the defensive guy, looking at the NFL, the overtime rules that we switched it from Josh Allen, he didn't get a chance to touch the ball. I've been on the side of where you have three facets of the game. You have offense, defense, and special teams. If your team cannot stop the offense from scoring that one time, I don't think you deserve to win. Now, am I tripping in that aspect, or is that something that we should expect from our teams where our defense needs to get a stop? I don't care if you're playing Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, whoever.
Your defense needs to get a stop. I mean, that's my philosophy. The overtime, I don't like it, but it gives you the opportunity to, I don't know. It just gives you the opportunity to show either your strength or your weakness. It's just what it is. And I guess from a defensive side, you just got to stop it. It's just what it is. It's not, I feel bad about it. This is what it is. Your defense needs to step up and stop it.
Because we saw the next year, the Chiefs were in the exact same situation with the Bengals, and the Bengals got a pick and went down and kicked a field goal and won the game. Again, all those facets. So that's amazing that that's what you're going with. Before Tonio goes, let me ask you about your schemes, right? I don't know. Again, we have me and Tonio. I didn't want to kind of get any prep for this. I did want to. That's why I got a hashtag learner. This is something I want to learn from. Overall schemes, right? So Tonio will not stop talking about this Navy 3 running back. Let's run the ball with our fullback and let's get some blocking schemes going right up the 6 and 7 gap. Is that, as a defensive guy, are you going to hate playing against that or love it because you know exactly where we're going to go every time?
I don't like it because.
Yeah, yes.
Well, let me. No. Rephrase. Ask your question again because I don't think I heard it correctly.
So you on the defensive side, are you excited about going against that type of offensive scheme?
And here's the reason why. There are certain offenses, and you've heard coaches say this. The late Mississippi State coach
Mike Leach.
Yes. There was a clip out a while back. He made the statement of he was talking about passing teams. He was talking about the Naval Academy teams. and those that run the triple option. And that's what we ran in Coffeeville at the time, here and there. You don't see it all year. And then you play that one team. And defensively, you have to be a disciplined team to stop it. Now, would I run it on the offensive side? Yes, I would.
See?
If you don't
See?
Because if you don't see it all year, it's hard. Schematically, you can line up to it, but you got to tell your guys you have dive every single time. And the one time that you don't get dive, it's a touchdown.
I told you, Billy. Like
No,
Billy,
I'm with it, but
Billy, literally, we had a touchdown called back on us. We let the referees know and everything what offense we was in. I remember who was it? Moody broke to the end zone, and we were out there, and they called it back because they thought the quarterback was down, Billy, and he even had a ball. I'm telling you, Billy, the offense was crazy, Billy, and I don't know, man. It was just fun to be in. It was fun to be in. I would have hated to play against it, but it was fun to be in.
I do remember a JV game. We played a triple option heavier team, and it was our coach. And this is years ago, so it's hard for me to exactly remember. But I remember it was we're running a man. So as a defensive end on JV, I was like, all right, so hey, you have 13. That's it. That's who you're gonna go get. So our linebackers, you have 8 and 5. Our other side of the end, he had number 0 every time. So you're just crashing. And like Coach said, though, it does take discipline to do it. Now, depending on the discipline, I know Coach is a man of God, so he wasn't out there cursing or anything. Our coaches were very cuss friendly, I would say, and letting us know who our man was.
Right.
They scored. I think they scored 14 points in the first half. They didn't score again after that because we just kind of. All right, this. I think that's how me and Antonio argue about it because I've seen it from that side, but he's seen it good from his side,
But if you can effectively run it, it's tough. Paul Johnson, I had the pleasure of meeting him and his offensive staff back. I think Tony had graduated. But I was able to meet him with the head coach at the time, Coach Jackson. And what they did was so simple. They perfected the simple things. Now, if you stop it, but a person like Paul Johnson, if you understand it, how to run it effectively,
And I guess, Coach, it's my fault because I guess I alluded to that's the only thing that we ran. We did have the eye and all of that, so that's probably my fault that we didn't run that every time.
I was under the impression that was the offensive scheme that was ran over there in Coffeeville. Coffeeville.
Yeah, right. So pretty much it was midline, some outside veer, and power. That was it. Some toss, but it was based on not what worked that week, but based on what we felt like would be most effective for that particular week. So if midline was working, we were going to run midline all night. Yeah.
So you guys weren't tossing that rock a little bit every now and again?
26 toss it's really hard to run that play, Billy. Now it just depended on and Coach can't say this, or he couldn't say it then, he probably can now. It depended on which one of my linemen showed up. Like we was running that toss, and if they weren't pulling right that first play, we would never see that play again that night. But if they was feeling good and we got it blocked that first time, we might run the toss.
Right.
And to be honest, like I told you, man, I know Vunnis was 1,000-yard back, and I think we had one at 987. We probably had close to like how many thousand of my senior year? Probably like it was a couple thousand yards of offense, rushing offense, Billy, alone. We passed the ball a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we ran the ball a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot of different things.
Yeah,
I was real effective in some areas. Yeah, a lot of areas. Yeah.
So this is not to beat Tony up more as it is. So he played in a little bit smaller ball than I did. I was blessed to play 5A, 6A my time in high school. What would you say is the biggest difference, do you think, like in those type of schools? Like how much more – I wonder if it's the community the way you guys for a smaller school like are so about that community? Because no one really cared about us except for the football players or the other sports players. Like no one really gave two craps, you know?
Right.
So what would you say the biggest difference is?
It's more of, so like Tonio's, is more of those in 5A. So for 1A, so if we have a person like Tonio, him being one of the bigger people on our team and going against some of the 1As, you know, that was somewhat to our advantage. But in 5A, you have about 5 or 6 Tonios there.
Yeah.
And that makes a world of a difference. And then too, for us, the size of the team. I mean, 15, 16, 17 players, 20 players. Some years. Yeah, for the team. Yeah, both sides. They play both sides of the ball.
I told you, Billy, we got down, man. Like I wasn't exaggerating.
I said in the intro, I was blessed to not have to do the both sides. Okay, like I was worried about my 8 plays, and I got down there, and then I get to sit for a second.
Oh no! So like Tony was talking about, so if he played, offense guard or tackle, no, he played center. So he played center. So then he got to go play defensive end, and we're expected the same level.
See, and coach, you're telling me with 20 players, he's playing punt return too. There's no
right.
You're just on that field.
Everything.
Oh man, I feel like you guys didn't
long
get
snapper, all of that.
There was no referee break, nothing going on.
I think though, Billy, and I think I'm really glad that I went through it because, like I told you, in the summer before because I think we had like 8 people die that summer, so we had to move to the gym. But before we was doing 2 days, and man, we probably ran. I think we ran probably close to 3,500 yards in the season of offense. But in the summer, we probably ran close to 5,000 yards of just gashers, just like yo. So it was one of those. It was one of those Nick Saban atmospheres, but with a bunch of Christian coaches. It was one of the most interesting places to be because you in the locker room and you working out and ain't no cursing. You listen to Lecrae. We was just like the whole and Billy, this is how effective their coaching was. The Lecrae did not stay in the locker room. We were pulling up to the football field, listening to Lecrae in the cars. Dog. Like it was effective.
Coach, you guys were pulling up to games. That's what was playing.
Yeah, so I want to go back because that year, Tony's years, I guess you can consider it punishment. So defensively, if someone scored a touchdown, that was 6 up downs. I think that's how I did it. 6 up downs.
Yeah.
So for every touchdown, it was so many up downs. So, they didn't like to do up down. So, and I got this from Coach Barnett, Kevin Barnett. We used to do up downs if somebody caught the ball on us in practice, or whatever the case may be. If we did up downs at the end of practice. So I was like, well, I converted that and said if they score 6 points, that's 6. So I think some game or whatever game, I can't remember, they scored so many points. But by the time we got to our division games, like their psyche was like, we're not doing up down. Like we're not gonna let them score. I was like, if they don't score, you don't do up down.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but like we would be in practice, and his thing, and my favorite thing about him was effort. And it don't matter if it was practice. If somebody walked off that field, it was on. It was on. Man, angle drills, Billy. Oh my God! If you didn't get to where you needed to be to make that tackle, bro, hey, just get to the sideline. It's over with, man. Like I said, man, that practice field, I probably put 10, 20, 30,000 steps on that practice field in 2 months, man. Like, but Coach, we got on the offensive scheme. What's the best overall defensive scheme in football to you?
So the statement I use now, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. So
Yes.
what that means is you all's groups and the groups that preceded you all taught me a lot about scheme. And what I mean by that is that you can have the effective scheme, but if it's making you play slow, then you're not going to be effective. Okay. So originally, Coach Ballman was from the family of 4-man front. And he's multiple blitzes. So, of course we when I first started out, I started doing that, but then I moved to, and what happened with that was you have to adjust your defense to every offense that's thrown at you. And pretty much how offense scores is because you miss a line. And for me, it started out as the 4-4, but eventually I dived into a 3-3 stack. And for you all, it was not so much the wording and all that stuff. It was a 3-3 stack adjusting to the offense. So although we say 3-3 stacks, and pretty much people are like, man, you can't run a 3-man front. Well, it wasn't a 3-man front. It was, I'm going to check your offense. And we had certain checks that we would have based on what offense came up. So really, when you look at film, it seems as though we were doing multiple stuff. It was just like, no, really, we were not.
You were just doing it out of the base of the 3-3.
Yes.
Okay. Did you find you were putting a wider box in running the 3-3? I'm just curious about this because if I'm on offense, I'm running against a 3-3. I'm throwing a lot of outs and seeing where your linebackers are going to kind of be, or where are your blitzes making up for those gaps?
Right. So again, it comes down to film. So it's all about film and data, looking at them schematically on what they do well and take that away. So shout out to Kendall Roberson. He's a guy that played at Mississippi State. I was able to learn Joe Lee Dunn's defense. So he played under Joe Lee Dunn.
Okay.
Another player another coaches that really influenced me into, and I'm gonna answer your question, was Ron Roberts. He's currently the defensive coordinator for Florida. And the current defensive coordinator, how am I going to forget his name? For Ole Miss, was the defensive coordinator for Alabama.
Man, what's his name? Sheesh. Wish Chris was here. We
usually have a statistician on our staff right here, Coach. But like I said, and I thought the experts for this.
Right. So I throw their names out to answer your question. What I learned from them was that Pete Golden. Yeah. Actually, here's a caveat. I actually interviewed while they were at Delta State. The year they went to the national championship, I interviewed for a GA job, had the job, was hired. I didn't take the job because the GA, you didn't necessarily make any money. And I didn't know how I was going to, how I was going to do all of that. So from there, I learned a lot about defense. So even if you throw your wide receivers, typically with a 3-3 stack, what people typically do is they bring trips with a nub tight end, meaning the tight end is on the line of scrimmage. And they do trips because, like you're talking about, try to spread the box out. It doesn't really matter because we're essentially running a single gap defense. Sometimes people run what they call a 2-gapper, which you have a nose guard and he plays 2 gaps. We ain't doing that. We didn't have
zero every time.
Huh?
He's running that 0 hole every time.
Yeah. So there was different. Just depends on. We would just tell them which way to go. Well, let me tell you this. No. What eventually happened with that group? We ran a play called tap and go. Okay. Tap and go was those linebackers get up there and they tap the person which way they wanted them to go, or they would do whatever they wanted to do. And it was most effective. I let them run what they wanted to run because they knew where they wanted to go.
So. And that's where my cousin that's my age, my best friend, I tell you about Billy Cortez. That's where that defense. I know he got his defensive mind. How I was telling you, because he would always tap and end up. And the Cortez was so great at linebacker that it was insane to watch. And then he had a guy in the middle that complimented him so well, because Moody was amazing on there. And he was like, it was fun.
Right? Moody was.
Both of them were running back. Both of them were they were athletes. They were like Cortez them could get, if they wanted to, they probably averaged like 7 yards a carry if they wanted to. But they just like hitting people more. They like hitting people more. Like Cortez just like dissecting the defense. And he used to tell us, like, it was so cool being on the field and hearing him tell us, hey, they finna run this. And you go to that gap and the play right there. It was so easy. So, yeah, that tap and go was super effective. Like, super effective.
So, Coach, while we're talking schemes, so where I'm from, too, we do for the literal, so our junior high and the middle school and the flag football elementary schools, they ran the same schemes. My former head coach, Joey McGuire, he's the head coach at Texas Tech now. He implemented his offense. He sent his coaches down through the ranks of both junior highs, all three of our middle schools and stuff. So we were running the same schemes all the way to high school. Once we got to high school, it was exactly what we've been running. So there was no kind of let's learn something. Did you guys do that, or was it more because of the smaller school? I'm just curious about how that kind of worked.
Right. So we didn't have a youth league at that time. So
Really?
basically, no, we didn't. When they came to 7th grade, that's when they started playing football, which was, well, for me, let me go back to how I learned football. I learned football in the backyard playing against older people. They used to slam me down, and you couldn't stay down. You had to get back up. So for us, our junior high program was their first introduction to football. So
goodness.
Which is better now because they do have some form of a youth league in the area. But what we would do was, so since on the upper end, I think maybe during y'all time, we just ran we didn't run our full defense. So we just ran a 4-4. If they got into some different type of formation, we're in a 6-2. Later, once I started going odd man, we would run a 5-man front. And then eventually we would, by the time they get to high school, we would run the full stack. So we ran a 5-3. That's basically what we ran in junior high.
That's kind of bonkers to me that you guys that's how, I've never, like I said, I just never noticed or realized these smaller schools do some things like this.
Yeah, we were small. So I think eventually that got where there was a youth league. The school that I went to become a head coach they had a youth league. Now I used to go to the games on Saturdays, and those kids going through the youth league, which typically how you do it, they're going to run the same offense, call it the same thing. And by the time they get to middle school, same thing, junior high, same thing, junior varsity, high school. Yep. Well, those group of kids eventually won a state title. This is not at Coffeeville. It's at another high school I was at. They ran state titles because they were doing the same thing all the way through. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, Tyler, are you going to do the story, or do you want me to ask this question?
I got a story, Coach, about schemes. You know how we watch film. And I told Billy I had a funny story to see if years later, if you could laugh at it or if you're still mad about it like we was. Coach, we pull up to a school and on the first offensive possession, they hop out in 5 wide. How you feeling? Man.
Real fast before you answer, I just need to know, did you know the story was going to come up on this episode right here?
I did not, but when he said 5 wide, I let him finish the story. But when he said 5 wide.
Oh crap. I just saw your face and I was like, oh, he knows. He knows.
Billy, you know how many so like I said, on the staff, we have a pastor, my cousin a minister, and is Coach Suggs a minister or is he?
Yeah, Coach Suggs, yeah.
Two ministers, a pastor, and a deacon.
Are y'all
And
all from the same church, Coach? Is it
just the same area?
Yeah.
Just the same area, but know each other because of football and because of family. But I've never seen so many people because they had taught us during the year, through the year, like, hey man, you don't gotta cuss to get this done, you don't gotta do all that. I've never seen them as angry as they were. And no curse words were said.
No curse.
Like no curse words, no nothing. But man, if one of them would have sneezed in the wrong direction, it probably would have been a longer bus ride than it was. Coach, how you feel about? Because I'm 14 years removed from that situation, but I still think about that to this day. Like I know, but it's like, yo, 1A and you coming out in 5 wide.
So let me add. Wait, you go ahead. Are you finished?
I'm done.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna tell you the story, right? So back then, of course, we don't have huddle. Going back to where you asked earlier, we don't have huddle, so you trade film. The way that you trade film is old school, drive, meet you halfway. Well, and of course, the head coach goes and changes film. Well, this guy doesn't exchange film and says that he does not have film, and says his cameraman didn't have the cameraman. So it's no film. So we don't know what they're coming out running. They come out in 5 wide. I'm hot because defensively, the 5 wide is easy to adjust to, but once you start passing and you haven't practiced it all week, and you practice run, So
see, now it's the opposite of the triple option. Now y'all are sitting here like, okay.
And you can't blitz. And that's the other part of it. You can't blitz because either you're going to be short, quick passes or deep passes. So you can't blitz effectively. So you have to have some type of scheme in place. And that was a lesson that I learned of having things in place for situations like that. So what ended up happening was I'm hot because we lose the game. And I'm about to get the coach because I'm mad because you didn't trade film with me, because I'm going to look at film on the weekend and I'm going to know what you're doing. Like I'm going to tell the players Monday exactly what you're doing, when you do it, how you do it. I'm going to call it out on the field. That's my expectation. Well, of course, I'm ready to fight the guy. But here, move forward. 2 years ago, I meet that coach at a professional development that I'm doing. Talking to the guy, man, I know you from somewhere. I don't know, man, where's your coach at? Broad Street. All right, so I meet the coach and we're just having a conversation. And I told him about himself. I said, man, you came out 5 wide. And we haven't practiced that all week. And that's where he told me that, man, we were just trying to no, this is what he told me. He said either the Thursday of the game or the day of the game, him and the quarterback figured out they were going to run 5-5.
So they hadn't ran it?
No, that's what he told me when a couple of years ago. He said we did. And he just said him and the quarterback just communicated, and that's how they, started to do their plays. And I was like, that was like salt on the wound when he told me that. That was salt on the wound because it's like, yeah. So
no, that's great. See, at least because we've never had a film like how you guys met at, you said at midfield and then you trade film and we're going about our days.
No,
right?
Just halfway. So they would meet halfway. It's Mississippi, Billy. People still talk to it. Ain't Texas, man. Y'all can't travel across and meet at them schools halfway.
Let's see.
Well, our film guy would go to the games for the other team, and he would give us the film on them.
Oh no, man! You had to do small school. You had to do everything. So you had multiple responsibilities. So, no,
That's
no.
crazy.
Come on, Billy. We got 22 players. You think? and Billy, soccer. He was a math teacher, so like,
Right, had to teach. Had to teach.
he had to teach.
Stay down
He had
that
to make-
7th period. Yeah.
game plan, lesson plan.
Coach, so I got to ask you this because I didn't know that about you. So being a teacher, because this is something that I was thinking about doing for a couple of years. I've kind of moved off of it, but being a teacher into a coach, and then this isn't on the notes. This is another one I got to just ask. I'm sorry, but
You're good.
how much better did you expect your athletes to act in class comparatively to just the cats in that class?
Look, so his coach's motto, of course, I follow along with it. Like, we're training you to become men. So, you go in there acting up. I was gonna get my up down. That's just what it was. It was
so bad. It was so bad because he worked there at the high school. Our head coach worked at the high school, and it was like,
wait, your head coach did too? Was a teacher?
Yes. Yes. So if you got in trouble in class, it's over with, man. Like, when you got there, they used to, and it's bad, Billy. This was after you had just ran your gangsters. This was after practice. Hey, y'all owe me for school. Y'all get over here. Oh man. And I used to feel bad for them, Billy, because I kind of had an out because I was scared to get in trouble at school because my granddad also worked at the school. So it was just like, hey, it's too much. And he knows both of my grandfathers. I had a granddad that worked at the school, and Billy, Mike Moore, I talk to you about him all the time. He would have drove to the school. So, I was just like, man, I ain't running extra. And I had my granddad come sit in the class with me, and I'm in high school. I just didn't need that in my life. Right. So it was rough. Coach, let me ask you this. Being the math whiz that you is, that help you like scheme better, like break down everything better, just
Right. It's all about numbers. If I knew where you were running the ball, it's a done deal. If I look at the percentages, so you would break it down. So of course you would have to look at based on the holes. So you got the 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I want to know how many times were you going to run in the 7 hole. That dictated what type of blitz I was going to bring. Also, the game plan. So I knew on 3rd down, what were you going to do? What was your favorite, your bread and butter? So we had to stop your bread and butter. So that's an old Bill Belichick thing where we're going to stop your best player and your best play and make you do something different. And if we make you do something different, so number-wise, I loved it because if you ran the ball 70% of the time, if I knew you couldn't pass the ball, it was a wrap. Yeah. That's why y'all got those. I don't think I did it after y'all. Well, I think I might have. Y'all had those game plan sheets. I used to print them sheets out. Where
Billy, I'm telling you, man, we were a small school, bro, but I've never felt more professional. I had 2 wristbands, defense, and being the center, I had an offensive one, and I was just like, yo. And really, man, we had the board over there that was calling out plays. It was like, we was a small school, but he had us like.
Did you ever forget which side of the ball you were on? And
of course, man. And that's when a lot of them times is when you just play hard, man. Like I done forgot I was snapping the ball a couple of times and dropped the snap. I can say that now because I'm out. But it's been a couple of those times because, like you said, man, I think my senior year we probably had. I want to say we had 27 players. I want to say that's what it was. It wasn't a lot. And where we from, Billy? My 8th grade year, you playing high school at the end of junior high season. Like that ain't, especially if you built like me, that's you You not
Oh,
your junior high season's over. It's
Right.
time to welcome you to high school ball and high school practice.
So can you varsity as an 8th grader? Like letter?
Yes.
Yes. In Mississippi, I don't know the exact rule, but 8th graders can. And
Depending on the size of the school, though, Coach.
no,
Oh.
you can as an 8th grader play at any level, but typically, unless you're just a freak, just a freak of nature, once you start getting into that upper ball, like 4, 5, 6, 7A, football wise, you might not. Basketball wise, you could.
Okay.
But for
Well,
us,
did you guys have a JV then? Now that I'm thinking about it.
no, we didn't have no JV. Junior high, that's what we had.
Holy crap, that's crazy.
I think we attempted a JV game once while I was in high school. I think that another team had a JV team, but then we just sent our junior high guys out there. That happened one time.
Right. So
I think we just sent our 8th grade.
You can only play 6 quarters in a week. So for us, if somebody got hurt, so if we went, if we played a team, let's say we did junior varsity, let's say that game happened on a Thursday or a Wednesday or whatever, they could only play 2 quarters. But the bigger risk was if they got hurt, they could not play on Friday because they hurt. So then if Tony gets hurt, we might as well just,
And that's what happened, Billy. I think that Water Valley game, you was in the ER with all of us, wasn't it?
Right, Tony,
Cortez, Bunnies, Moody. We all, man, it was a lot of us just in it. It was a rivalry game, Billy. Like it was one we hadn't won. How many years?
Since the last time we won that game is the time I won it when I was a player. That was the last time we won it.
Billy, he got me by a couple years, man. So
yeah,
that game was big for us, and it was a rivalry because
y'all win that one.
It was. Oh yeah, we won. Okay. We won.
So that was the first time since, Coach.
Yeah.
Right.
So
99 is the last time before that we beat them.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Now they get all kinds of crap, huh?
Yeah, 99.
I mean,
what year were y'all? I don't remember.
2009. That year we took down quite a few rivals, actually. Water Valley, Count City. It was a good year. But Coach, I seen you at homecoming last year. Seen you and we was watching the game, and it made us a little sick to our stomach. And you said you was, glad you was away from it. Is there any way can anybody call and offer and say, hey, I want you to come head coach, or I want you to come defensive coordinator, or I want you to come and be the athletic director? Can anybody make that call and get you out of that back to the game?
At this point, I'm saying no, because I know I would have to give all to it, and I'm a little wiser now, so I couldn't. That's why I don't. I was saying on the pre-call, I did do a little coaching because my oldest son Cameron was playing youth league here. We're in Madison, Mississippi, and he played youth league, and I some way somehow became the defensive coordinator. But it was still hard for me because I still had that. It's even higher now, the expectation.
Yes.
So these are 6th graders that I had to remind myself, these are not high school kids. So it would burn inside of me when they walked off the field.
I told you, Billy, it's not a joke, Billy. That's the thing.
No, so I will say, hey, we could not walk off the field. There was one time, I don't know if I was concussed, but I know I was hurt, and I was bear crawling to show I'm giving effort. There's something that I'm doing to make sure you ain't gonna get me on no type of up downs, no gashers, nothing. I'm gonna
Yeah. So it would be hard to get me back in. I try to stay away from it. It'd be hard to get me back in.
So you
So,
don't
like,
you don't miss it then, Coach? Would you say you miss it?
I miss it. I do.
Okay.
I just stay away from it. So it's almost like a person is on drugs. If I go back,
That's it. Got you back hooked, huh?
right. So it would have to be the right situation, and I just truly know that I'm supposed to do it.
so I bring this up because my little cousin Cam, few years removed from being in that seat where you at them games and you like, hey man, I can put something better on the field than that. Is that the right situation?
I don't even mess with it. I don't mess with it because, like
Respect,
I told
Coach.
you,
Respect.
when I'm telling you, I'm coaching up Cam pre-practice, teaching him here's what you do, here's what you do, here's what you do pre-practice. And he goes to practice. I ended up becoming involved in the game almost like I did before, and I said I got to stop because we're only practicing 2 times a week. We can't blitz, but y'all are gonna line up correctly, and you're gonna practice hard. And it was
okay.
And my wife said, my wife said, you're going back to the same stuff. I'm sorry. This is what I expect.
I can see it. I can see it. Before I get into what you're doing right now, is Cam gonna be defensive minded like you and Cortez, or is he gonna be on the offensive side of the ball trying to bring back the running back? Or
he reminds me of Cortez. So even with him playing, this is his second year playing football.
Mhm.
He has some really great defensive games, and it was just like when he makes up his mind, he plays hard, and he does a really great job. Offensively, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. But I think this year was a great molding year for him. So, whatever direction it goes in, I play my daddy's rules. Whatever. If we win, I don't talk. But if we lose, I'm going.
Ah man. So, but you giving him because Cortez is the big brother that y'all mom just didn't have me. He the big brother that I got because we've been like this since birth.
Right.
And I revere him as probably in my high school years, Cortez probably best defensive player I've seen. And I watched. And if Cam got that in him, then he's gonna be a monster. So let me talk about transforming lives. Let's get into what you're doing now, Coach. Let's talk about your podcast because you're a podcaster, and I seen you. What got me was I seen you on social media, and I was like, man, Coach be on here a lot. Let me check out this, and I listened, and everything you were saying, I was like, man, I should just probably start listening to this, and life would just get better. Like and then the episode that really drew me in to be like, I feel like, I mean, he my coach and my cousin. I know he'll come on my show. Was the episode with you and Coach Jackson, who I hope to have on here soon as well to talk about offense, to tell Billy about the greatest offense there is.
Okay.
How did you get into pod?
Pretty much like billions of people in our world during the pandemic started to do something different. Now, what truly got me there was I was on Clubhouse, and a person was looking at my bio, and in my bio I said that I was a podcaster. Well, she hit me with a couple of questions, and I didn't have the answer for them, nor did I have a host agency that I uploaded my podcast to. I said, you know what? I'm never going to get embarrassed like this again. So at that point, I began to kind of study it, and I just talk. So it was just a thing I fell in love with, and kind of moved to this whole idea of live streaming, and then just ripping the audio from it and just uploading it. So I don't know where I just went, man. It's almost like driving the scenic route. I'm just driving and looking, and I'm gonna stop at this store. Let me pick up a couple of things. Oh, and before you know it, you look in the back seat and you're like, I have all these skill sets or these things I've picked up. So yeah, I have no rhyme or reason, sir.
So let me ask you this: what made you talk about, in my opinion, a subject that's needed around, especially our community? But with you being my older cousin, of course, I got to see you be a father before I became a father. But it's still a lot that I can learn to become a better father. What made you drift off to talking about fatherhood this season?
Yeah. So let me wrap back around and I get straight to the point. Let me go back.
Okay.
Transforming Live was created on Romans 12:1. It talks about, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Transform. That part talks about transforming. So I took that transforming then lives. So at this point, everybody kind of goes through changes. For me, I went to one of my guys that I played college football with. His name is he's a pastor, Pastor Michael Grant, Dr. Michael Grant, and we're going to visit him. And we just got up with our sons and took a picture. And from there, the thought came from football to fathers. So at that point, I would say, all fathers talk about football.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. We're going to talk about football. Even if you know it or not, you're going to act like you know it.
Exactly.
So I said, you know what? Why not reach out to some of the people that I play football with and bring them on and let them share their story to encourage others to live a transformed life. That's kind of my tagline right there. So, yeah.
Because like I said, man, I was driving from Jacksonville, North Carolina, listening to back up here to Virginia, and I was listening to the pod on the way, and I'm just like, oh, they really dropping gems. And like I said, man, I get to brag on y'all a lot because that football team, as small as we were more family than y'all just being my coaches, even though me and your family. It was more family. I get to brag a bit. I was like, man, the respect that you give Coach Ballman, that's because Coach Ballman gives my respect for being a great coach as well. But when I think of coaches, my top coaches, I tell them, like, as my cousin, it's Coach Jackson, it's Coach Dudley, it's Coach Sugg. Y'all just had us like not only being out there physically and mentally tough, but I was telling them, I was like, y'all would take the time to do. People, I don't know if people remember, but we used to do like a Bible study every week. Like we used to do that. The weight room sessions where y'all got rid of the cursing and we weren't allowed to curse, and then that you don't think about it as much, but then you think about it like I do remember people being in their cars and instead of pulling up to the field bumping rap music, it's Lecrae on the airways, and a lot of people don't know it, but they actually enjoying this this guy rapping about the Lord, and they don't hear a cuss word. They singing the words. They the lips got better. Like it's just a lot of stuff a lot of positive energy that was put out, and to see that you still doing it now, it's really dope. It's really dope.
And I think, and I was, I had these thoughts before I came on. The years that we were really successful, there was a huge camaraderie amongst the players. You all's group, like y'all were connected together. And when you look at culturally, like the things that you're talking about now, that's huge. Later with Antavius Moody, that group, even with the years after y'all, with Big Daniel, all those guys, they still had it was still that brotherhood that was there. And I was thinking about that, like that, if that is there, that's how you win football games. Scheme wise, you want to make sure you got your scheme together, but that's how you win football games right there. When the person next to you trust them. So I appreciate what you're saying, man. I'm getting older, so it's good to hear some things like that.
Like I said, Billy, I told Billy, I said, man, when I thought about it, and this, you and Coach Jackson's interview made me want to do this because, like, we do the regular pod and I like doing the regular pod, but I was like, man, we talk about all this coaching and all this. Well, let's get a coach's perspective. Like, let's hear directly from the coach because I love defense. Contrary to pancaking somebody on 10, like I love defense because I like seeing defensive games. I like seeing people scheme against these high power offenses now and then you stop it. So I like that. And I told him I was like, man, you gotta give the people that help you become something the flowers now because you know life is short. So you gotta I want you to hear it from me before we get up out of here. Like, hey, coach, you did a lot for me. Respect on and off the football field. But coach, go ahead and tell the people where they can find the Transforming Lives podcast.
Okay. Yeah. So cool. Yeah. So it's on all major networks, the Apple, the Spotify. You just check it out, Transforming Lives. You're gonna see a tiger looking, a lion looking into a mirror, and you're gonna see a young lion looking into a mirror and seeing himself being older. So that symbolizes just transformation. So again, we're on Facebook. You know, anywhere you can get a podcast at, you'll see Transforming Lives.
Oh, that's dope. Coach, Billy texted me and said that his daughter's having a meltdown, and I know you understand what that is because you're talking football or fatherhood this season. So I want to say from me and him, thank you. I hope this ain't the last time we have you on the show. I would also like to ask before we get you off of here because it's coming up, who you got in the Super Bowl?
I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. First of all, let me go ahead and say that we have 6 rings. Okay, but prior to being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I was a Jerry Rice Ronnie Lott fanatic.
Okay,
I'm going with the 49ers. Finally, Shanahan gets a Super Bowl win and not fumble the bag.
Man, he got to redeem himself. He really got to redeem himself. It's what
49ers
is it?
by 7. 49ers by 7.
By 7. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going for the 49ers as well. I want to see something different. You know, I'm a Patriots fan, so I don't want nobody being able to touch what Tom Brady built. So I really, really just need Pat Mahomes to just, you know, calm down for a little bit. Just slow down for a little bit. Andy Reid. Somebody need to show Andy Reid he can be stopped on defense at least one time. At least one time, man.
They don't need to play like they came against the Detroit Lions, but yeah. If they play like that, it's going to be an AO, but we'll see.
All right, well, Coach, I ain't going to hold you much longer. Like I said, from Billy and myself, we appreciate you coming on, blessing us with this knowledge, and I hope that this isn't the last time that we see you on Brick Shots with Billy Antonio. And thank you. And to my people, we'll see y'all next Wednesday on Brick Shots with Billy Antonio.